In the beginning of the drama, we see our male lead, Ming, a college student in Bang City. He has 3 very close friends, Tian, Kai, and Mia, and the 4 of them are always together. One day, a rugby practice match is held at the college, and both Ming and Tian take part. Both of them pass the tryouts, but Ming turns out to be the best player on the team. To celebrate, the 4 friends go to a restaurant. After dinner, while everyone is planning what to do next, Ming leaves early, saying he has work to do. Then comes our female lead, Shen. She is a spoiled, stubborn girl from a wealthy family, and her attitude is her biggest enemy. Constant fights and frequent school transfers have left her without any real friends. When she gets into another fight and the video goes viral, Ming arrives. Her father has asked him to keep an eye on her. Ming tries to talk sense into her, but Shen hits him with her bag and runs off. Back home, the maid, Jem, tends to her. Shen tells Jem that everyone only wants to be friends with her because of her money, and that she'd rather be alone. When her father arrives, a frightened Shen hides in her room, but he finds her and gently comforts her. After that, Shen promises not to fight anymore. Meanwhile, Kai and Tian bring juice for MIA. After MIA leaves, their friend Kai reminds them that the group has an agreement not to date each other's friends. Meanwhile, during dinner, Shen asks her father about her mother, and he tells her she has gone to a party. At the party, Shen's mother is embarrassed by the viral video of her daughter's fight. When Shen calls her, she doesn't pick up. To lessen her mother's anger when she gets back from the party, Shen comes up with a plan and heads to the dance floor with Young. Young secretly calls Ming. When a group of boys start teasing Shen, Ming arrives like a hero and saves her. A huge fight breaks out and everyone ends up at the police station. The next day, at Ming's insistence, Shen goes to school and comes back without a single fight, shocking everyone. Meanwhile, a crisis hits Ming's home at Sunlight Farm. His father, Victor's business partner, Song, betrays them. The stress sends Victor to the hospital. When some men show up to take over the farm, Ming drives them away. Just then, Shen and her father arrive, and it's revealed that their 2 families are old friends. A deal is struck. Shen's father agrees to give Victor a loan, and a delighted Ming takes Shen on a tour of the farm. When Shen admits she feels lonely, Ming tells her, "I'll be your first friend," and her heart melts. At dinner, Ming's mother treats her like a daughter, and Ming starts seeing her as a younger sister. But that's where the story takes a turn. The next day, Yuji, the sister of a family friend, arrives and takes an instant liking to Ming. Once home, Shen's mother ignores her again, and Shen storms out of the house in anger. Ming searches for her and finds her on the rooftop of a nearby building. Worried that she might do something reckless, he's relieved to find her simply sit Tina there. Caught between anger and relief, Ming tells her how worried he was, and a crying Shen says she doesn't want to go home. Ming doesn't scold her. Instead, he takes her out to eat. In the next scene, Ming and his friends try to lift Shen's mood with music and fun, and slowly her anger melts away. Ming tells her she's grown up now and needs to be more understanding. Touched, Shen tells him, "I can't live alone, but now I have you, my new friend." And Ming smiles. The next day, Shen lands in another fight at school over a misunderstanding, and this time she's caught red-handed. Her father shows up, pulls her out of school, and takes her straight to Ming's family home in the village. After a private talk with Ming's father, Victor, Shen's father leaves her there. Believing she's only staying for a few days, Shen feels uneasy and sneaks off to Bang City without telling anyone, Victor to reunite with her parents. But what she finds shatters her world. She hears a gunshot and sees her own father lying on the ground. The shock sends her into a state of trauma. When Ming's father arrives, he finds her like this. And at the hospital, doctors say she's in shock and needs careful care. Meanwhile, unaware of the tragedy, Ming is relaxing with his friends at the beach. Both he and MIA lose themselves in old memories and talk about their futures. Ming dreams of becoming a national team player. None of them know what storm is about to hit their lives. When Ming returns to the village, he learns the truth, and his father hands him the responsibility of taking care of Shen. Ming teaches her gardening and shows her a flower bed. Tell Mia her, "Look, Shen, this is your flower bed now. These flowers are your family, and this farm is your home." Shen's eyes light up just a little. Ming also tries to set her up with Yuji as a friend, but the clash between their personalities is obvious. That night, everyone gathers to watch a meteor shower. Watching the stars fall, both make a wish. Shen wishes to be with Ming forever, while Ming wishes for MIA to accept him. Their wishes couldn't be more different, but fate has other plans. The next day, rumors spread among the farm workers that Ming and Shen will get married. When Ming's mother hears this, she flatly says, "That can never happen. Ming and Shen are like brother and sister." Standing behind her, Shen overhears every word and her heart breaks all over again. In the next scene, Shen is watering her flower bed when a worker asks if she likes Ming. Shen admits she loves him deeply and wishes he'd feel the same. The worker is delighted to hear it. It's the first day of the new school term, and Shen isn't happy about it at all. She'd rather spend the day with Ming, but at his mother's insistence, Ming agrees to drop her off. Shen happily climbs into the car, and once they reach school, she blurts out, "I love you," in front of everyone. Ming is thrown into confusion by the sudden confession, and Yuji, watching from behind, is furious. Meanwhile, Tian secretly gives money to his crush to protect her from her greedy father. Back at the farm, Shen returns from school and proudly shows off her flower bed, and Ming can't help but admire it. Hearing his praise, an overjoyed Shen hugs him. That night, while watching TV, Shen rests her head on Ming's shoulder, a small moment that shows how close they've become, even though Ming is clearly a little uncomfortable with it. At school, Yuji and her group taunt Shen about her parents, and Shen's temper finally snaps. In the middle of the fight, Ming's mother is called to school, where Yuji lies about what happened, and Shen ends up punished with 10 days of toilet cleaning duty. When Ming hears about it, he's furious and demands that Shen apologize, but she refuses to budge. That same night, a big secret comes out at home. Ming's father, Victor, reveals that he took Shen in because he had promised to get her married to Ming in exchange for forgiving his family's debt. Both Ming and Shen, standing just outside, overhear the whole conversation. While Shen is secretly delighted, Ming's anger boils over. He flatly refuses, saying no one should have to ruin their life over an old promise. And he brushes Shen off, call MIA her nothing more than a sister. Frustrated, Ming goes to vent to MIA, but she turns him away too. A cold war breaks out in the kitchen between Ming's mother and Shen. Shen's guardian tries to teach her some manners, but she won't budge, bluntly pointing out that she only lives there because of her father's debt. Furious, Ming's mother threatens to send Shen away if she doesn't shape up, but understanding Shen's situation, Ming flatly refuses to allow it. That night, Ming's father sits Shen down and feeds her with his own hands. Moments earlier, so defiant, Shen softens completely around him and apologizes. The next day at school, Yuji and her gang make Shen's life miserable, hatching a plan to ruin her dress in the cafeteria. But Shen doesn't back down. She calmly takes off her skirt and walks away, without losing her temper. Later in the washroom, the two finally clash head-on, and Shen settles the score with Yuji. Ming's father is called to school. He apologizes on Shen's behalf, but Yuji's mother is livid. Back home, Ming's mother and Shen argue again, and in a fit of rage, Shen starts throwing her belongings out of the house. Not one to back down, Shen does the same right back, and the two end up throwing each other's clothes outside. When Ming's mother scolds her, Shen climbs onto the bed in protest and eventually runs off to stay with her uncle. Ming's father later explains to his wife that Shen is still just a child, but she believes Shen is coming between her and her son. Around this time, Jem has to leave to care for her injured husband, so Young steps in to help around the house. Shen misses Ming and calls him, but he answers rudely and hangs up on her, and she's heartbroken to see even the flowers she planted start to wilt. Meanwhile, KAI comes up with a mean trick. He takes a photo of Ming and MIA together and sends it to Shen, claiming MIA is Ming's girlfriend. Ming and Emiya are both stunned when they find out, but Kai's real goal was simply to drive a wedge between Shen and Ming. Seeing the photo, an enraged Shen heads straight for Ming's college, where a rugby match is underway. Ming plays like a hero and ends up injured. Back home, big news arrives. Shen is missing. The household staff scramble in a panic. But when Ming's mother hears the news, she shows no interest in finding her. Jem and the other maids are worried sick, even as the Cold War within the family shows no sign of ending. At the rugby match, Shen shows up at the field looking for Ming, but the guards won't let her in. The match itself is tense. It's pouring rain, and Ming is determined to help his team win. Afterward, checking his phone, he gets a call from his father saying Shen has run away from home. Ming's response is cold. If she doesn't want to stay, let her go. But just as he steps into the changing room, Shen suddenly bursts in. Furious, he pulls her outside and scolds her, but Shen stands her ground. "I promised I'd marry you, and I never break a promise." The entire rugby team falls silent hearing this. Ming ignores her and walks off, but when his friends Tian and Kai push him to make things right, he's forced to go after her. Shen, however, isn't done. She grabs the college microphone and announces to the whole campus that Ming belongs to her and that she loves him. The entire college bursts out laughing at Ming's expense. Furious and embarrassed, he rushes over and drags her away. Back home, tension keeps rising. Shen gets into yet another fight with Ming's mother, and the household staff argue over her bad behavior. The next morning, Yuji shows up with sweets to win Ming over, and a jealous Shen insults the sweets in front of everyone. Ming's anger finally reaches its peak, and he bluntly tells Shen he will never love her. She's devastated, but her stubbornness doesn't waver. While the hatred between Ming and Shen keeps growing, his group of friends is off having fun together. A night of dancing, with MIA playfully feeding Ming, which stirs a bit of jealousy in Tian. Still, the bond within the group stays strong. In the next scene, Shen decides she's done with school and doesn't want to sit her exams. While in the kitchen, she overhears two staff members plot Tina to get her thrown out of the house, and she decides to teach them a lesson. During lunch, while the farm workers are eating Tina, everyone suddenly falls ill. Victor immediately calls a doctor, and it turns out to be food poisoning. Shen arrives and boldly points fingers, but then a worker produces a bottle found in the kitchen, proof that Shen herself had spiked the food. Ming's mother is furious, calls Shen dangerous and threatening to call the police. Shen insists she only meant to teach the staff a lesson, not hurt anyone. Victor tries to calm things down, but Shen runs off crying, effectively trapped on the farm. She calls Ming again and again, but he keeps his phone switched off. She spends the night out in the rain, and by the next day, she's in bed with a high fever. Young urges her to go to the hospital, but Shen insists. "Just let me die. Don't take me there." Worried despite his wife's objections, Victor calls Ming, who comes home and, on learning of Shen's condition, hatches a plan. He goes to her room and offers to take her to the hospital. Shen agrees, but is shocked to find Ming hasn't come alone. He's brought Yuji along. At the hospital, Yuji thanks him for letting Tina her tag along, seizing every chance to rub salt in Shen's wounds. When Shen asks Ming to stay with her, he flatly refuses and leaves with Yuji, telling Shen as he goes that from now on, he belongs to Yuji. After leaving the hospital, Ming's frustration doesn't fade. He sits at a bar with Tian and Yuji and starts drinking. Tian tries to stop him, but Ming tries to drown his troubles instead. Back at the hospital, a nurse checking on Shen finds her bed empty. Ming's father calls her, but there's no answer, and the whole farm is thrown into a panic. Victor sends Sap and the other workers out to search, and even sets off himself, with Ming's mother reluctantly tagging along.
In the next scene, a drunk Ming stumbles back into the hospital room and tries to apologize to Shen and make things right, but his anger flares up again. He pushes her away and snaps, "Even if you were the last girl on Earth, I would never love you." Just then, his parents walk in, and Shen, driven by hurt and stubbornness, tells a shocking lie. She claims Ming tried to force himself on her. Ming is stunned into silence as his own parents look at him with suspicion. Furious, Victor suggests, get Tina, the two married the very next month. Ming flatly refuses and storms out of the house. While driving and talking to KAI on the phone, Ming gets into a terrible accident. His car slams into another vehicle. When the news reaches home, everyone is shaken. Realizing her mistake, Shen tells Victor at the hospital that Ming was innocent all along. He forgives her, but orders her to stay away from his son. Ming is in serious condition. When he finally regains consciousness, his world falls apart. He had dreamed of being a rugby player, but now he can barely walk. MIA, who is about to leave for England, comes to see him, but overwhelmed by insecurity, Ming tells her to leave. She does, leaving him alone. From here, the story jumps forward 4 years. Shen has now graduated and matured somewhat, though memories of Ming still live in her heart. When a boy proposes to her in college, her old stubborn streak resurfaces, and she turns him down. Meanwhile, Ming is in a rough state, back at the farm physically weak, confined to a wheelchair, and constantly angry as old memories haunt him. When Sap asks him for a ball to play with, Ming's outburst shows just how broken he really is. At breakfast one morning, Shen is stunned to see her uncle at the house, but she quickly composes herself and serves him. Impressed by her work, he asks about her ambitions, and she tells him she wants to make tea, perfume, and food from flowers. Delighted, he listens as she shares her plans for farming the land, but warns her she can't do it alone. Seeing her determination, he sets a condition. She must train at Sunlight Farm for 2 years before he'll help her buy her own land. Shen hesitates, knowing how much everyone there despises her. Before leaving, she jokingly hands her friends a map of Sunlight Farm and says, "If you don't hear from me in 3 days, come find my body." On the day of her return, Victor leaves for work, and Ming's mother gets word of Shen's arrival, which angers her instantly. Sap dances with joy at the news, while Kia and Tina worry that trouble is coming back. When Shen arrives at the farm gate in a car, she steps out nervously as everyone glares at her. Instead of new clothes, Ming's mother sends her straight to the workers' quarters. As Shen cleans her room, old memories come flooding back. Walking through the flower garden, she spots Ming also in a wheelchair and breaks down in shock and grief. Ming taunts her. "I bet you're happy to see me like this." Crying, Shen apologizes, but he snaps back. "Will breaking my leg make it better?" Reminding her that she once promised to do anything to make up for it. He walks off, and Shen cries through the night. The next morning, a knock wakes her. Ming is at the door, gesturing for her to follow. Confused, she asks where they're going so early. His mischievous, punishing side comes out as he assigns her the task of washing every animal on the farm, with a deadline of noon, reminding her this is exactly what she promised. Shen, though stunned, agrees, but Ming's eyes still hold the same old mix of mischief and anger. This marks the start of her new struggle with the farm animals. Hungry, Shen heads to the canteen, but Dong and Thong refuse to feed her unless she washes the dishes first. Just then, a kind senior worker secretly slips her some food, and she eats before going back to work. Later, Ming invites her to his house and warns her this is her last chance. If you stay here, things will only get worse. Just then, Victor calls, and Ming hands Shen the phone. When her father asks if Ming is taking care of her, she's forced to say yes, and promises to stay until he returns a promise that only makes Ming angrier. Still, Shen won't budge. Tell him, "I'm not going anywhere until you forgive me from your heart." Pretending to be in pain in his wheelchair, Ming watches Shen rush to help him and then reveals his true intentions. Placing food in front of her and tell her to eat it out of a dog bowl, sit Tina on the ground. Quietly, Shen gets up and walks away. Ming's anger keeps building as he tries to break her spirit. He warns the farm workers that anyone who helps Shen will be fired on the spot, and even tells them not to say a word if something were to happen to her by accident. Unable to find food, Shen heads into the forest to gather wood for a project making wood vinegar. There, she meets a small boy named Maddo, who helps her collect wood, and she finishes the task while Slee Victor in the cart, having gone without food all day. When one of the workers, Odd, praises the vinegar Shen has made, it only infuriates Ming further. He locks her in a room for 2 days, but she refuses to give up and escapes through a window. When she turns up at his office, Ming is stunned. Shen tells him to stop acting like a child, and in the heat of the argument, Ming reveals his biggest secret, that because of her, his dream was destroyed, and he spent a full year in treatment. Enraged, he stands up out of his wheelchair, shocking Shen. Ming warns her that if she stays, he'll only spiral further, and threatens to drag her to the car. Tell MIA, her. This is her final chance to leave. Shen points out that the car key is still locked in the room. Furious, Ming shouts, "Do you want to die by my own hands?" Just then, his father arrives and pulls everyone into a room to talk. Shen tells her uncle the truth about everything Ming has put her through, and hearing this, her father angrily confronts Ming. But Ming makes it clear he doesn't want Shen there at all. When her father tries to stop him, Ming gets up and walks out. His father follows and emotionally appeals to him, saying he needs Ming's help running the farm. Ming stops in his tracks, but Sap reassures Shen that he'll keep his distance from her. Sap also apologizes to Shen for lying to her earlier, and Shen notices the black car that had brought her to the farm gate. Sap explains it's Ming's favorite car, one that no one else is allowed to touch. Shen realizes Ming has been deliberately teasing her all along. Ming's father shows Shen a plot of land where she can plant her own rose garden. Nervous, Shen worries that Ming will kill her if she fails, but her uncle promises his full support. The next day, Sap, Odd, and Q come to help her get started, and Shen begins testing of the soil. Ming arrives, stares at her for a moment, and walks away without a word. That night, hungry again after her food was taken, Shen sneaks into Ming's kitchen to find something to eat. Ming is in the shower, and just as Shen reaches for food, a spoon slips and clatters to the floor. He storms out and grabs her. Show Tina that people like her are always scheming. Shen simply insists she was just hungry. The next day, Sap comes to Ming's house to invite Shen to breakfast. When Ming and his mother spot Shen at the table, he storms off angrily. Her uncle tells her, "You'll get used to it." Around the farm, Shen finds an old scooter and happily rides it around. While cruising the grounds, she overhears two female workers gossip Victor cruelly about her. Ming arrives, and Shen complains to him, but he tells her no one will believe her anyway. When Shen insists she isn't leaving, Ming warns her half-joking that if she stays, he'll cut off her hands, then her legs, then her head. Frightened, Shen speeds off on her scooter. At the office, when Ming's father shows him Shen's design for the rose garden, Ming flatly refuses to help, saying he doesn't trust her. When his father brings up the idea of Ming marrying MIA instead, Ming insists she's only a friend. MIA, back from England, is now running her shop with KAI. Shen visits her and apologizes for past mistakes. MIA and KAI tell her that Sunlight Farm's success is really thanks to Ming's hard work. When Shen later visits Ming's private retreat, he again insults her, calling her a dog, and jokingly ordering the workers to attack her on sight, though it's clearly just a joke. To get back at Tian, MIA and Ming pretend to be a couple. When Tian later meets Shen and helps her design the garden, Ming becomes furious. He pulls Tian aside and warns him to stay away from Shen, calling her a seductress. Tia tells him to stop Actina, so childish, and points out how obvious it is that Ming still cares about her. The next day, Yuji visits the farm and accidentally gets manure spilled on her. Furious, she complains to Ming's mother. But Shen says nothing in her own defense and simply walks away. Ming finds her in the garden and warns her again to stay away from Tian. Just then, Shen spots a snake and, terrified, throws her arms around Ming. He shoves her off, joking that her head must be full of snakes instead. That night, Ming secretly watches Shen's room through binoculars. His father catches him and asks if he's keep Victor tabs on her now. Ming simply claims he's protecting a friend. The next day, there's a commotion at the farm over food. When Dong serves the workers stale meals, they get angry and walk off. Shen and Young pick papayas from the farm, cook a fresh meal, and share it with the workers. When Dong discovers the workers are eating with Shen, she storms off to tell Ming's mother, and Ming overhears. He bursts in like a storm and warns the workers that Shen's food might be poisoned. Unbothered, Shen calls him ridiculous. Ming makes a fuss, claiming the papayas were stolen from his farm, but Young stops him before it goes further. Ming's parents get into an argument over it, and his father sides completely with Shen. Tell MIA, the workers, they don't need to listen to Ming at all, just help Shen. Ming stands there fuming. In the kitchen, Dong and Thong come around and start cooking the workers' favorite meals again. Meanwhile, Shen is thrilled to hear from her uncle that a contractor is coming to build her rose garden. But Ming isn't about to sit back the next day. He shows up and tries to warn the workers off. And Shen, Actina, every bit the boss, stops him in his tracks. When Sap jokingly suggests set MIA it with rock, paper, scissors, an even angrier Ming storms off without looking back, while Shen quietly carries on with her planning. Then comes one of the most dramatic scenes yet. Ming shows up on a tractor and ends up having fun with Shen, despite himself. Later, when he has to meet a client, he takes her along in the car and drives so recklessly that her head spins. He jokes about where he'd hide her body, and a frightened Shen replies, "I was young then. Please don't send me to jail." His possessive, showy behavior makes his obsession with her obvious. At lunch, Ming stages another scene ordering a massive amount of food at a restaurant and eating it all in front of Shen without sharing a bite, then feeding the leftovers to a stray dog. On the drive home, he deliberately gets the car stuck in the mud and makes Shen push it out. Then, once her clothes are dirty, orders her into the back seat. Their constant bickering feels almost like an old married couple. The story takes a sweeter turn when Ming discovers why little Meido has been stima. It's to pay for his sick grandmother's treatment. Ming's harsh mask slips, and he quietly arranges for her care. Later, while MIA and Shen sit around criticizing him, Ming walks in, and Shen teases that if he keeps Tina so angry, he'll end up with cancer. Annoyed, he secretly eats food made by Shen just to prove he enjoys it. To teach Shen a lesson, Ming withholds the pay of the 3 workers who've been held victor her. Furious, Shen offers to cover their wages out of her own pocket. The next day, the balance of power on the farm shifts completely. Every worker abandons Ming and joins Shen's side. Young goes to Ming in tears, but he sits there with a heart of stone. The moment his father walks in, though, Ming's tough act crumbles. Actina as Shen's protector, his father puts all the workers back to their jobs and warns Ming to behave. Ming responds by giving Shen a brutal new schedule. Mornings on the farm, evenings in the rose garden, making his intentions clear: I'm the boss. What I say goes. The next day, KAI brings a new product to sell, and Shen, ever the smart businesswoman, buys machinery to lighten the farm's workload. Ming shows up and stirs up trouble, convincing the frightened workers that these aren't helpful machines at all, but devices that will replace their jobs. Satisfied that he's won, Ming still finds Shen refusing to give up. He pulls her aside and asks if she's forgotten who's in charge, then snatches her credit cards so she can't spend freely. No matter how hard she tries to get them back, Ming holds firm, while in private, he sits in his room staring at photos of her, so obsessed that he even asks little Meidu to take more pictures of her for him. When MIA finds out about the confiscated cards, Ming claims it's purely for Shen's own good. MIA can see clearly that it isn't just hatred anymore. It's a strange kind of obsession. The story reaches an emotional turning point on the anniversary of Shen's parents' deaths. Her father had once promised to take her to the temple every year, so Ming steps in for him and takes her himself. At the temple, Shen asks the priest whether prayer can forgive sinners, and Ming, half joking, asks whether it's possible to pray for one's enemies. The priest answers that it's fine, as long as you never actually hurt anyone, because that would turn into a sin of its own. Shen looks straight into Ming's eyes, and he finds himself caught on the word enemy. As Shen performs her prayers, a child nearby sets off a firecracker, and the sound triggers memories of her father's death, causing her to faint. Ming rushes to comfort her and hears her crying out for her father. When she comes to, she's frightened at the sight of him. Curious, Ming later asks her mother about the ritual Shen performed, and she explains it's typically done when someone has died by violence or suicide. Deeply unsettled, Ming starts to wonder whether Shen's fainting a spell and the ritual are connected to something darker about her father's death. He senses there's a part of Shen's past he still doesn't understand. The next scene opens on a bit of confusion. Worried, Tyan searches for MIA at the hospital after learning she has a tumor. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Ming's pet goes missing, and Shen finds it, injuring her hand in the process. Ming hands her a first aid kit in his usual bossy way. Tian arrives and helps Shen apply the medicine, and a flash of jealousy crosses Ming's face. Tian reminds him pointedly that he's supposedly MIA's boyfriend, so why isn't he the one looking after her? Shen's finances are getting tighter, since Ming still has her cards. At Young's urging, she spends what little money she has left on a lottery ticket. Just as the results are about to air on the radio, Ming storms in and shuts down all work on the farm, radio included, and a fight breaks out between him and Shen. She loses the lottery, and Ming bursts out laughing, but seeing how hungry she is afterward, his heart softens just a little. His father invites her to lunch, where she eats so ravenously that Ming can't help smimia to himself. On payday, Ming pulls another trick, deductina, the cost of KAI's product and her food bill, straight from her salary. Shen is stunned. But then comes a twist. Ming quietly gives his own pay to Young so she won't go hungry. Tell MIA Shen bluntly that if she just waits around for his money, she'll starve. Slowly, Shen starts to realize that beneath the harshness, Ming genuinely cares. The next day, Sap finds little Meidu's phone full of photos of Shen and gets him to admit that Ming took them all. When Shen finds out, she sends Ming a photo of her own, just to spook him. Terrified something's wrong, Ming bolts out of a meetina and rushes home, only to find Shen standing there, perfectly fine, and he's left speechless. She confronts him directly. Why do you keep taking pictures of me? He tries to dodge the question, but Shen won't let him, so he claims there are cameras everywhere on the farm and he's just Key Victor watch. When he later sees the reports she's prepared with his own photo tucked inside, his pride takes a hit, and he storms into her rose garden, angrily cut Tina the flowers. Their argument escalates until Ming warns her he'll dock the food bill from her salary again. At the farm workers' Tina, a very drunk side of Ming comes out. He and Sap drink so much, they end up in a ridiculous dance. Slurring his words, he tells Sap to keep an eye on Shen, because She's obsessed with me. Overhearing this, Shen grabs her head and mutters that she wouldn't want him even for free. That night, at the peak of the celebration, a drunk Ming kisses Shen. His mother happens to walk in just then, and a terrified Shen flees. The next morning, when Ming sobers up, he's horrified by what he's done. Ming's mother then hatches a cruel plan to scare Shen out of the house. Together with YUG, they create ghostly noises and frightening scenes around Shen's room. Shen and Young flee in terror, but when they return, they find the whole place turned upside down. Ming is furious to learn it was all a scheme cooked up by his mother and Yu Jai. When Shen goes to tell her uncle what happened, Ming's anger hits its peak. He forces Yu Jai to admit the truth and confronts his mother directly. She admits to planning the whole thing, and when Victor finds out, he scolds her too, reminding her that she'd promised to let Shen stay. Ming still defends his mother, even as the pressure to honor his father's earlier promise keeps building. In the next scene, Ming slips into full possessive mode. When Tian arrives to take Shen's shop Victor, Ming pushes him aside and takes her himself, then proceeds to shoot down every single thing she picks out. Kelmaye, it all useless. Just then, a friend calls Shen to say her parents have thrown her out of the house. Cold as ever on the surface, Ming immediately drives her to Bang City, where he plays the hero and rescues her from the friend's furious parents. At the friend's house, with his own clothes being washed, Ming has to borrow something to wear, and looks so good in it that even Shen can't help staring. Over dinner, he can't stop wondering aloud whether Shen ever had a boyfriend. She says she never wanted one, and when he asks half serious whether she was Waitina for him, she kicks him under the table in embarrassment. That night, Ming secretly listens in on one of Shen's conversations, and by the next day, he's back to his usual bossy self. To get even, Shen sends him a video of his drunken dance from the party. Enraged, Ming shows up at her place first thing in the morning, snatches her phone, unlocks it with her own fingerprint while holding her hand, and deletes the video. Shen proposes a truce so they can both stay out of trouble, since she claims she no longer has fimayes for him. To prove it, she places his hand on her chest and says, "See, my heartbeat is completely normal." Inside, Ming is anything but calm. He forces himself to stay composed and quickly walks away. Meanwhile, Tian is in a rough patch after MIA throws away a gift he gave her, though he quietly retrieves it later. Shen, experimentina with her rose tea recipe, offers Tian a cup he loves it, and a friendly bond forms between them. Tian then hatches a plan to get Shen invited to dinner at Ming's house. Watching Tian and Shen together at the table, Ming turns visibly jealous, and when Tian keeps serving her food, Ming snaps, "Don't you have your own hands?" Later, catching Tian alone, Ming warns him again to stay away from Shen, but Tian simply says he thinks of her as a little sister. Still annoyed, Ming punishes Shen by making her count every tomato on the farm. While trying to remove a hidden camera, she trips and twists her ankle. Ming rushes over, ready to yell, but the sight of her in pain melts his anger. Instead, he carries her home and applies an ice pack. When she asks why he's held Victor her, he falls back on his usual excuse. "Is your pay get Tina docked for this? Just heal up so you can get back to work." The friends all go on a charity trip together. Watching Tian and Shen grow closer, Ming starts to lose his composure, and it comes to a head when Tian publicly announces that Shen is his girlfriend. Ming's jaw drops, Shen is just as stunned, and a furious Ming storms off. A heartbroken MIA leaves too. That night, welcome Victor. Ming vents his frustration, set Tina up a tent. The truth is, Tian and Shen had cooked up the fake relationship story together, Ho Victor, to push Ming and MIA into admit Tina their real Fimayas. When Shen is alone, Ming grabs her and demands to know why she's Tina Tian. Overwhelmed, Shen tells him that even if she died, no one would care. She has no real family, and if he wants to hurt her, he might as well kill her. Struck silent, Ming storms off, but the pain in his eyes is unmistakable. That night, he confronts Tian in the tent and asks why he's playing games with Shen's Fimayes. Tian admits plainly that he actually likes MIA, who doesn't return his Fimayes. So he's trying a new approach. Just then, a new guy, Mark, shows up and starts flirting with Shen, leaving Ming visibly jealous in his head. He can't help thinking of her as his own. The next day, with Ming driving and Shen and Tian in the back seat, every time Tian tries to get close to her, Ming deliberately jerks the car so the two of them tumble into each other. The tension inside the car is so thick that even Tian realizes Ming has completely lost it. Once everyone reaches school MIA, paired with Ming, Tian paired with Shen, the fake boyfriend plan kicks into gear. At school, Ming injures his hand, sends MIA away, and asks Shen to help him instead. When she goes to bandage it, he rips it off and throws it aside. "Why do you hate me so much? Can't you forgive me?" she asks. "Impossible." He replies whether he means it's impossible to stop hating her or impossible to admit he loves her isn't clear. Meanwhile, Tian comes clean to MIA. He was never really to Tina Shen. He just wanted to test whether MIA would get jealous. She's stunned. At a gathering, Shen unknowingly drinks something strong and ends up completely drunk. In the biggest chaos of the night, a tipsy Shen falls from a tree, and both Ming and Tian lunge to catch her hand. "Shen is mine," Ming shouts, before catching himself and awkwardly trying to walk it back, though the words are already out. When a very drunk Shen jokes, "Just split me in half, one half each," the looks on both boys' faces are priceless. After the wild night, Ming wakes up to find Shen in his room. Playing his usual bossy card, he lies and tells her that she was the one who came onto him the night before. Shen, remembering nothing, apologizes, and Ming walks off MIA to himself. Good news arrives soon after Tian proposes to MIA, and she says yes. Watching from a distance, Shen is overjoyed that her friend has finally found love. When YUJI comes around to tease her, Mark steps in and helps her out, and the jealousy on Ming's face is impossible to miss. Working hard, Shen prepares a special dish of rose petals and has Young deliver it to Ming. He pretends to be annoyed at first, but the moment Young leaves, he secretly eats it. Smim Ia the whole time. His heart is clearly Meltina, even if he isn't ready to admit it. The story reaches a turning point when the farm workers play a spirit board game for fun, and Shen seizes the chance to try to learn what really happened to her parents. The spirit spells out that they were killed by a man, but before the name can be revealed, Ming storms in, sweeps the board away, and scolds everyone. Shen leaves in tears, but Ming can't stop thinking that her parents may have been murdered. Not killed in an accident, as everyone believed. The next morning, he asks his father directly whether Shen's parents really died in an accident. Seeing his father go quiet and nervous, Ming senses something is being hidden. Tension builds when Shen suddenly goes missing, and a panicked Ming searches the entire farm, afraid she's done something drastic. He finds her alone by the lake, and both his fear and his anger surface at once. "You have to stay here until I forgive you," he warns her, though underneath it, it's clear he's terrified of losing her. Shen works herself so hard on the farm that her shoulder starts to ache, and Ming notices from a distance. He comes over, sits her down, and not only applies ointment, but massages her shoulder himself, a deeply emotional moment for Shen, as his care brings back old memories. When she later takes a call from Mark, Ming's jealousy spikes again. He grabs the phone, hangs up on Mark, and pockets it. When Shen asks for it back, he makes a flimsy excuse about checking her room, an excuse so weak that even she can tell he only came by to tease her. When Ming lets himself into her house, he doesn't just look around. He sits down, eats some fruit, and even asks her for food. The funniest, most unguarded side of him yet. After she steps out, he examines samples of the products she's made and quietly admires them, though he'd never say so to her face. When Shen comes back from doing laundry, she finds him fast asleep in her house. The same man who used to get furious at the mere sight of her now feels comfortable enough there to nap. At the office, Ming teases Shen so relentlessly about making his coffee that she has to remake it 5 times before he's satisfied. And once he finally likes it, he asks her to sit in on a meetina with him. Fed up, Shen decides she won't put up with his antics anymore. And when he tries to snatch her phone, she refuses to hand it over. Ming's mother, meanwhile, starts to suspect that Shen has put a spell on her son, since he's constantly hovering around her. She scolds Shen in front of everyone, and a tearful Shen vows to stay away from Ming. Ming is devastated, but can't bring himself to say anything. That night, he secretly texts her an apology. When Mark shows up at the rose garden, Ming assumes he's just flirtina again. At a restaurant later, seeing Shen with Mark sends Ming's jealousy over the edge. He demands to know who Mark is, then tells him bluntly to get out within 2 hours, or face the consequences. His possessiveness makes his true females obvious. It turns out Mark and Shen are both orphans, and that shared loss creates a real bond between them. Mark encourages her to stay strong. Ming, listening in from nearby, is fuming, and when Shen finally hangs up, he simply lashes out at her. Later, with Tina outside as she comes home, he angrily asks why she looks so happy, and she admits it's because she likes Mark leaving an enraged Ming standing there, unsure how to stop her. The next scene opens with an explosion that fills the farm with dust, leaving Shen struck MIA to breathe. Ming and Tian go to confront the factory owner, Dan, and find Mark there too. Tian, who already suspected Mark wasn't trustworthy, now feels certain of it. When Thong also falls ill from the fumes, Shen lends her car to get him to the hospital, and for the first time, Ming, who used to only scold her, starts to genuinely worry about her. When Mark shows up at the hospital and tries to get close to Shen, Ming's jealousy spikes again. He whisks her off to a restaurant and feeds her, doing nothing to hide his femmes this time. Mark's true colors soon come out. A conversation with Dan reveals he has a hidden history with Shen's mother, and a photo of her is found in Dan's room, proof that Mark's interest in Shen was never about love, but about revenge, or some buried past. In the next scene, Ming sneaks into Shen's house while Young is out, and Shen is folding laundry, and quietly helps her without being noticed. When she realizes he's there, a heated argument breaks out. He asks for her mother's phone number, and when she refuses to give it, he moves in so close that Shen panics, pretending to like him just to push him away, hugging him and murmuring, "I'm Star Tina, to fall for you." Caught off guard, the usually bossy Ming gets flustered and bolts, and Shen laughs as he flees. Ming's mind, though, stays fixed on Mark's schemes. Together with Sap, he tracks Mark down and finds Shen sit Tina in his restaurant. Wearing a cap to hide his face, Ming sits nearby only for Shen to publicly mock him in front of Mark, calmie him a stalker, which sends his temper boy MIA. Just then, a couple gets into a fight nearby, and Mark plays the hero, step Victor in to protect the woman. Shen is impressed, but watching from a distance, Ming realizes it's just another one of Mark's performances. Back home, Ming and Shen argue again. He insists Mark is dangerous, and Shen snaps back, "You're the dangerous one to me, not Mark," because being around Ming hurts her the most. Want Tina badly to protect her. Ming is crushed by her words. With help from others, he secretly installs a GPS tracker on her phone, so he can always know where she is.